What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am BTLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you episode number 90 of our Dota On Demand podcast. Happy birthday, my friend. Episode 90. It's a good number.
I got myself a birthday present, actually. I did.
What was it?
I got it 2 weeks ago. I was that excited for my birthday that I just had to preemptively get it. I got myself a stand mic with a pop filter. Did that work? Anyways.
I don't. If it's a pop filter, would we have heard it?
Ooh, touche, sir. Very good point. Yeah. But I'm actually trying to jazz up a little bit, and this is just the start of things to come, hopefully, for this podcast. Getting the quality, the production value. We've always haven't been the most, professional in the industry when it comes to that kind of thing. So we're hoping to just overall boost things, and this is one of the things I wanted to do for it. So decided to finally go for it. And, I'm excited to be here for 90. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We're almost hit triple digits.
We've been doing this forever. I think we were toddlers when we started this.
I feel old from just this podcast.
I mean, when we started this, I didn't have a beard. I mean, just because I didn't have a beard 3 weeks ago either, that doesn't mean anything. But I didn't have a beard. It's been a pleasure. Every time we have one of these little anniversary things, I always like to, remind you that it's been a fun little adventure, my friends. And I'm
absolutely
glad we do it. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Here's the big thing. We have these little anniversaries. We pat ourselves on the back. Episode 90. This is next level. We have transcended the Dota on Demand, and we have released actually our Dota Theater 3000 episodes that we've done up until this point. We had ourselves a nice little Dota Theater 3000 release party last week. Had a couple of you guys join in, watch us on the live stream. We played some games together. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
We did our draft for the Fantasy League, and we just had a good old time. We are going to be regularly adding Dota Theater 3000s every week to our YouTube channel. So you guys can now, of course, come and watch us live on Tuesday for the podcast itself. And then Wednesday, we are going to have the Dota Theater 3000 episode release. And then we are, of course, only looking to expand it there. We mentioned a couple weeks ago how we had had a busy business meeting and posted a picture of it on our Facebook. And, we're definitely committed to trying to bring you guys more content and a better, higher value show. So hope you guys are enjoying it. Jay, how badly did you draft?
To go over for that, because unfortunately the draft began when I believe you and Joe were wrapping up a game despite having knowledge exactly of when the draft was beginning. But none to fear. We had actually 3 auto drafters. It's kind of hard to coordinate people. We had someone from Australia, Europe, West Coast, East Coast, literally all around the world we had people participating, so it's kind of hard to get everyone on the same page. But we managed to get the majority, which was cool. And I just have to say, I feel like I've drafted well. The thing that we didn't realize, or at least I know I didn't, was that I thought this was only for TI4. I thought that's all we did this for. But apparently it's all the tournaments from now until TI4.
Until the end of time.
Until the end of time. Or TI4, whichever happens first.
Whichever
happens first. But I'm actually very satisfied. I got my first pick was my good friend Mushi. Had to go with him.
Of course.
I was surprised he lasted to me, to be honest. But I think it's because of the 3 auto drafters, to be honest. But I got my S4 again from last time. I got Silent this time around. Yol, Piladai, Lance, Rabbit, and Schwan. Gotta go with Schwan, by the way. This guy's looking like a beast, not only physically, but he is performing up to it as well.
I believe you just insulted that boy.
Support Mirana is kind of next level from this guy, I'm just saying.
Don't worry, we're going to be talking about that later.
Yeah, but how'd you come about your draft? I'm pretty sure your first. Did you even get to do your first pick?
Let's worry about that later. What I need to lead with is the fact that BDLM's wit has struck again. Jay kept the name of his fantasy team, J4Y's guys. I came up with it. I'm sorry, I gotta plug my wares here. I'll let you have it. I did retire the name Artesia Saves. I have traded it for first pick Bloodsica.
Yes.
And I'm happy with that decision. I think I first picked Resolution with I think 2 seconds to go, so I was happy about that. I may have also been playing Lone Druid. I mean, if that's not micro, I don't know what is. Got EGM. I got DDZ, which I was super excited about. How Pass. I mean, I shopped around. I got QO from MVP Phoenix, so it was nice, getting some people from a bunch of different regions. It was great. Actually, I don't have anybody from the United States, and that's why
Ooh.
I am a communist.
Actually, I'm looking over mine. It's not looking good. I mean, I have Pilot Eye. That's the closest I have to anything.
Yeah, I'm actually adopting Pass to America, so that's official now. So he's an American. Congratulations, Pass.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. But yeah, it's already begun. Both B and LMI are 1-0, as it turns out. Strong showings from both of us, I'm pretty sure, on purpose.
Dominating.
It was dominating in fashion. I believe I had the second lowest score among everyone. But the person with the lowest was Joe, who was on the other side of the table. So that's all that matters in fantasy, folks. It's about how your opponent does, not about the rest of the league.
Now, this is where I actually retire, because let's just say that the points aren't looking ideal, less than ideal for this week. But you know what? You take what you can get. Apparently, I only have 2 people playing at any given time during the week. So that maybe is a recipe for failure.
And apparently, it's also a good idea to start people that are playing in the week.
Well,
Didn't you learn that lesson last go around here?
No, I did not.
Well, there you go. There's never too late to learn. Just as long as by TI4 you're ready, that's probably what's more important anyways. So,
yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. That night was a lot of fun. And you were talking about the games we played. We did the mid-only, and we started out the night by doing all random, which ended poorly in some games. The first game ended up being somehow very even, but then there was a game, because in this mode, if you haven't done it, you can have multiple of the same hero, and there ended up being a game where 2 silencers were on the same team. And as it turns out, when there's 2 silencers against you at level 1, you have no mana, and when you die, all of you lose so much int that you can't even cast Hoof Stomp 10 minutes into the game. Pretty unfortunate.
You have no mana, you have no int, you have no fun. It's pretty much how that goes.
Unless you're the silencers, and then apparently
it's a ball.
Yeah, they were laughing. We were all on the same Skype call on both teams, so they were having a good time. But us, on the other hand, not as much, unfortunately. But then that final game.
Oh, it was the glory. So we decided that the only fair way to do it was that if Jay randoms a hero, or he random spins to a hero, and everybody picks that hero. It landed on Pugna. I'm going to give you guys a second to
soak in. Yeah.
The number of times that people died to Pugna Ward by laying Pugna Ward, hysterical. Hysterical. The carries on the team wound up being me as Pugna with a Daedalus Maelstrom against a proper Pugna with BKB and Magnum Scepter.
Yeah. Yours definitely won out. Those crits. And I eventually went to Orchid to get that silence locked down. But yeah, it was all about the auto attacks, we realized, because we were so scared to cast anything. You'd think in like a game, it's like, oh my gosh, you could AoE the whole team so easily. But the wards, man, the wards were just too scary. You didn't know where they were, what they were doing. And but it made for a really fun game until we decided just the man mode and just charge each other with phase boots. That's when the game really got a lot of fun. So,
would you like to know my build for that game?
I suppose I would.
At let's say level 15, my build was 1, 1, 4, 2.
Oh god,
stats.
So much stats.
Stats. You got a crit. Jay.
Well, that extra 2 stats is going to give major damage for that crit. Let me tell you.
I'm just saying, I wasn't going to nether blast people, because that's clearly a trap. So what else do you have but stats? So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do some more like live events.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, appreciate everybody who tuned in, everybody that we played with. It was a lot of fun, and definitely looking forward to doing it again. And in the spirit of pub nonsense, I guess that's not really pub. I guess that's just good old fashioned fun. I was watching some live streams, Jay, and we haven't had any challenges going on lately.
Mhm.
So I found one for you.
Oh boy.
I think you'll enjoy it. So I have a 5-game challenge for you.
Thank God, that's right in my range.
Inspired by Artesis and some others whose
Uh-oh.
names won't be named because I can't remember them. Mid Windrunner
Oh.
carry. You have to build Aghanim Scepter at least twice.
What if the game goes so poorly that I don't get to that point?
Poorly for the enemy team. Well,
Well, dang, that is right up my alley. I'm so impressed of how well that fits me. I was expecting, because you said Artesis, I'm like, oh no, here comes some micro hero. Here comes Naga or Lone Druid middle or something ridiculous. Or I'm gonna be like, nope. Wow. Oh, first of all, it's Wind Ranger. Second of all, I always have to correct you, and it's going to happen forever because I don't think you're ever going to call him Windrunner, but or you will. But anyways, yeah, no, actually, and they just we'll get into it later, but she just got even more of a buff for that ultimate. So yeah, that Aghanim's looking sweeter and sweeter as time goes on, and I just have a question. Did he build like Maelstrom or some kind of attack proc? He had to because of that change as well, I figured. So, all right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just, I feel like we see Windrunner, Wind Ranger rarely when we do, but off lane or support.
Mm-hmm.
It was really kind of just refreshing getting to see her in that middle lane. We've seen, I feel like, more mid Phantom Assassin than ever. In the 4 times that's probably happened in the professional setting.
Thank you, Isama.
Yes, thank you, Isama. You've gifted us. So it's kind of neat to just see these heroes that you can sort of shuffle around, and we'll be talking about 6.81B later on, but you look at the Batrider nerfs and you figure a lot of that is to the versatility of the hero and how many different places you can put him, whether it be the jungle, the off lane, mid, or whatever, and sort of the changes that are sort of reining him into fewer and fewer positions. That can be crippling to some heroes. So the fact that you have this hero that can do really well in this one-on-one scenario, even though Shackle Shot's going to be harder to use in the middle lane, I still feel like with Wind Run as well as Power Shot, you can really lay it on thick.
That was my first hero I ever played, actually. I think you know that, but
I forgot it.
First Dota 2 pub I ever played, Wind Ranger mid, and I crushed it. I was so happy. It was like the best way to start your Dota career, right? Getting that awesome performance. And this is, of course, a hero that I barely ever played in Dota 1. So I was super unfamiliar with her. But she's kind of come full circle because in Dota 1, she was very often middle. Played that, not the ultimate version, but still used a lot. And now she's back finding her way in middle again. And yeah, I think these ultimate buffs are really making her a lot more of a brawler instead of just that shackle power shot, what she's been known for all this time. So I'm actually really excited to try that. I appreciate the generous offer there.
I think too, what's neat about running Windrunner mid is that it's almost sort of like the PA thing to a certain degree. I mean, PA can sort of build support items in the middle lane because she can get enough damage elsewhere. I feel like you can still, as Wind Ranger, get away with, starting off with something that's not a carry item.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could still start 4-staff to try to get yourself in a better position for shackle shots or
mech's always good.
A mech or something. Yeah, and you're still just able to do enough damage. You're able to get in the right position just because of how the hero functions. Even if you aren't thinking about the ultimate and the damage that you're going to be able to apply with that, I'm really curious to see what you're able to do with it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Like you said, I feel like a pretty good fit for you. So
that's perfect. And I'm going to play her different ways in those 5 games. I might have to even branch out beyond 5, but the 5 I'll definitely at least do. You said 3 Aghanims is what I have to do. 2. Okay, good. 2 is manageable. Mm-hmm. We're probably going to dominate so hard in those games that I may not get to completely build in every game. But no, that is actually really exciting. And I did actually get to play a mid PA for the first time, and it was in a captain's mode game, so I was pretty excited about it. It was a draft I drafted, and everyone on my team was very questioning of it. They were like, "What are you thinking?" And I showed them. Then again, I was against a Magnus, so I think I had a pretty good upper hand there. But
they don't appreciate the genius, Jay. I still like to
don't.
reminisce about the game where I was Nagas Iron at like level 5, like 20 minutes in. I was like, don't worry, guys, don't fight yet. I'm almost 6. And then we started fighting when I hit 6, and what do you know? Started working
that
out
story will always live through every day.
That's like that one story that like old people tell, where they just tell the same story over and over again.
Are we going to be doing that, like, to our
10 years from
grandkids? Well, I hope I don't have grandkids in 10 years, but
you would have to start pretty soon if you're going to have grandkids.
like negative time, perhaps. Yeah, that would be good. Anyways, so yeah, good times with that. I'm excited for that, so I guess I'll have to let you guys know of the progress when I begin that adventure. And I'm going to have to make BD out and play with me, of course. Oh, no, you offer the challenge. You must participate.
I don't roll like that.
That's the rule.
That's buy me dinner first if you're going to...
Wow.
Anyway. And since Jay sucks and doesn't want to give me a hero challenge,
this is what I wanted to get into, actually. There's not yet, but apparently there's been an idea tossed around by a viewer about us doing a duo lane A to Z challenge. Where now here's the thing. Dota Cinema has already done something like this, so it's kind of unfortunate.
So we're posers. Basically.
Well, here's the thing. Theirs was it was Suns Fan and Synderin, and what they would do, they would play alphabetical order like AA, and they would just go down the list and pair up each one, and they'd play a lane no matter what. So like Alchemist and oh my god, I don't know any other hero, Ancient Apparition, let's say, and they would do those two in a lane, and then they keep going no matter what down the list. So they don't have to get a win, I don't think. I think they just kind of kept going. Ours, though, and actually the person even put it this way, said we should go opposite, so A and Z, and then meet in the middle. I think that could be a pretty interesting idea. I don't know. There definitely could be unranked games. Not that I care about my rank, but...
you gotta make them ranked. We gotta crash and burn off this, baby.
Oh, well, we definitely would, but it's an interesting idea that we may have to delve into.
I'm about to open up Excel right now just to try
do the combos,
just to see what the lanes would be. Like, I'm sure some of them are just flat out retarded.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. That's the idea. Is you get that genius combo. But
I was thinking it would be nicer to us if we, as a pair, did the A to Z challenge, so that one of us has to play the hero. So if we go A to Z, and so it's like, okay, Jay, you play Alchemist this game, and then, okay, Ancient Apparition's next. Well, I'll play Ancient Apparition, and you pick somebody to go with that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's kinder to us, so definitely not as much fun.
Oh, boy.
I
feel like the first one would be like Alchemist Zeus, for example. Like, I'm just saying, like, it'll be something like that.
Support Zeus. Not troll at all.
Actually, not bad. No, really, well...
Bad is...
not the worst thing you could do,
Maybe.
I suppose. Boy, anyways, this has been a lot of fun. We haven't even gotten to the meat and potatoes. Oh, there's my phrase. Where's the bell or something to ring right now?
Ding.
Ding. But anyways, so enough of that silliness. What was next on the list? You're the guy. You gotta tell me.
Here we go. Here's to the serious business. We forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode that we took last week off because Jay has been studying just so hard to be a professional chicken sexer. He's studying to figure out which ones are the roosters and the hens. It's very complicated.
That sounds so bad.
He's trying to...
Chicken sexer. Please never say that phrase again.
It's a real job. I saw this on TV. It's a real thing.
You watched chicken sexers doing their thing?
The baby chicks, you can't tell. They don't look like roosters or chickens. So you it's very complicated. I'm sure math and science involves to figure out if it's a boy or a girl.
I'm very disturbed on many levels right now, but okay. Anyways, yes, I was
You're studying for it, so I don't know.
Well, apparently I don't know it very well yet. But yeah, so apologize for that, folks. But we are back, obviously, as you can tell, and we plan to resume normal schedule. But there's been so much hecticness, that's a word, going on right now that we're we're just getting back to normal here. So yeah, do apologize for that.
And of course, in the week we were away, Dota 2 exploded.
Yeah.
So we have the China finals to talk about, the EU tournament in general. We're also going to be talking about 6.81B, as well as some of the news that's been happening with some of the major professional teams, namely Roxkiss, EG, and Navi. So, China. Jay, you called it. You're welcome.
We evened up.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go ahead and like brag because you did get the other call correct. So we ended this thing tied up. I mean, LGD, the reason is I had that gut feeling. They've been a strong club for so long, and I know there's different players in and out, but they've really this and not only this, but they've been on fire through multiple tournaments recently. That they've just been like on a hot streak, and they're looking with that fierce determination to come back in here and kind of prove themselves, and they really did this throughout. But I don't think they're honestly the most important thing to talk about in this qualifier. I mean, yeah, okay, congratulations, but the other two that I think are even possibly more interesting to talk about are Dreamtime and CIS Gaming.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, I think that I had hopes for Dreamtime to take it all, but I think when you wind up looking at like the top three and you're like, okay, well, who's most likely to come out on top of this? Well, probably LGD, but I think everybody sort of expected at that point that you would see an LGD Dreamtime final instead of an LGD CIS final. I have to say, too, that one thing that I really loved about CIS making it to the Chinese finals was that I just remember reading an article about Black who, was really looking to try to play professionally in the Chinese scene and was just sort of getting blowback for it, was getting flack like, oh, you're never going to be able to play on a top Chinese team. You're not going to fit in with the culture of some of these teams. It's not going to work out. And here he goes, able to, put on a good show in this tournament. I feel like some of the games he didn't get to play his strength. Felt like he was maybe sort of put into some positions that really didn't give him the opportunity to excel. But I mean, overall, just getting to see CIS sort of put their name in the hat, get their name out in the lights, it was a nice little, I guess, upset to what people would expect to come out of the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. It was everyone just had so many, like you said, kind of these feelings that Dreamtime was going to be first or second. That was kind of the thought process going into there. CIS, I mean, yeah, they were also. I mean, let's be honest. Most of these teams, very good teams. In fact, there was a 2-way tie for second place, and there was a 3-way tie for fourth. I mean, these teams were very, for the most part, evenly matched. Dreamtime came out on top of LGD CDEC, who actually I was really impressed with too. May I say? I thought CDEC played a lot of strong games as well. And then that Hyper Glory team. All three of them fought for that fourth place. Dreamtime did come out on top of that. But yeah, it was still fought tooth and nail to get up there. And I mean, it's actually also another interesting thing. A lot of the people, I watched Beyond the Summit for most of mine, and they were originally predicting right away, no matter what, 2 Chinese teams are going to be coming from this qualifiers going in. So, the backup team's definitely going to make it in. But after watching all these qualifiers, they're kind of almost starting to have a different opinion on, like, actually, all these teams that are going for that last spot seem really, it could go any way. Like, they really don't know now. It seems like a really big toss-up because they're all really talented, and they're going to be working their asses off to get into that last spot.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think every time that we've talked about the qualifiers up until now, and, now that they're all over, I have to say that I expected them to be entertaining games. I expected there to be, stories to come out of them, but I have just found every single one of these qualifiers insanely interesting for like a different way. I mean, I feel like every single region has given us those like crazy moments of like, who's going to win the 3-way tie to, it's going to come down to time trials, see who's going to actually make it in. And, you have a team sort of come out of nowhere that's able to, or not come out of nowhere, but to land where they're not expected to fall. And then when we get to EU, you have teams you're like, where have you been? How has this happened? What life is this? When am I waking up? Um, so every single region has just been such an amazing,
Yeah.
I guess, not tease, but just like, what's the word I'm looking
Hype.
for? Hey, you're the wordsmith. Oh, hype! I'm so hyped for the international just based
Yeah.
off of the teams we've seen, and these are, this is 15 and 16, right? These are supposed to be the lower of the teams to come through, and I mean there are of course flaws in the play in a lot of the teams that are going to come through, but the fact that they were able to play so many games, that they were able to, I think just show really solid performances in general. They really showed themselves as a international worthy team, for the most part. That it's going to be awesome. And I'll also say too that some of these teams aren't going to finish like 15th and 16th. That come in as the 15th and 16th seed. Like I feel like they're going to wind up being able to climb the ladder and really compete with some of the invited teams.
You got to also imagine. I mean, of course, this is the biggest tournament of the year and everything. There's already almost 8.5 million. This thing is growing out of control. We might hit the 10 million mark. I would actually not be surprised. We were kind of calling it when we saw those bonus things. We're like, you know what? That's realistic. 10 million could happen. 10 million. These people, I mean, of course, they always, throughout the past few years, have put a lot of effort into that last minute kind of gung-ho training. But when there's that much on the line, you have to go all out for these things. And these teams are out for serious blood, and they can't wait to play. And I think that, like I said, I think that the qualifiers, those second place teams that are going head to head at the event, I think those are going to be some of the best games, possibly of the tournament. Hopefully, just because of the amount of work and effort they're going to be putting in just to get in. I mean, there's not a lot of games they get to play, so it's going to be really intense and down to the wire for them. But I'm not going to be able to talk about. I have a team who I really am actually now rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
And
but you can't talk about it?
Not until we get to the next one, which is kind of a spoiler. Oh. Well, I'm not going to spoil it. Well, we will eventually. All I have to say is the second place from Europe is my new favorite for this getting in here. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
Mouse versus VP. What? Did I say that right? Did I
You did.
Did I eeny, meeny, miny, mo a team off of the list? Just say yeah, VP. That sounds great. They wind up in the finals. No. Holy crap! What happened to my life? I have to say, of all of the qualifiers, if you're like me, you'll be like, oh, that game happened 2 days ago. I can't watch that. But I highly recommend going and watching all of the bracket games from Europe. Holy crap, what entertain. It was great. I feel like every single game. And the thing that I love the most about Europe, and coming down to Mouse and VP, is that these teams really showed strategies that fit them super well. Troll Warlord coming out from Mouse. VP run a silencer effectively 50% of the time.
Blink Slardar.
Blinkdar.
Blinkdar. Did I say Slardar?
Yes.
I meant Slark. I get those fish guys confused so
Slark.
often. I bet if Slardar was picked, he had a Blinkdar, though.
Slink? No, you have to call him Slink.
Slinkies? Do you remember those things?
Slink or Blark, you have to go with Slink.
Those are both awful names. So,
oh, Slink's amazing.
is Blark going to get a model rework, by the way?
I hope not. I think he looks fine.
Anyways, sorry.
I think that's what I think was most compelling about the EU finals, was that I felt like this was almost a similar situation to the finals of previous internationals, where you go there and you're playing this metagame out the whole time up until the point where you hit the finals, where all of a sudden these other heroes are relevant because of who you're playing against and how well these teams execute their own strategies. Yeah, it's not like the meta went out the window completely,
right?
But the fact that you're like, holy crap, Troll Warlord, we should probably ban him out, or we're gonna have to be really worried about this if he gets through. I felt that was just really amazing, and same song I've been singing, but I still feel like it's really important to say the way that Dota 2 sort of feels right now. There are those, top meta heroes, but so many of these heroes are interchangeable depending on how a team wants to play, and that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I love the amount of heroes picked. I mean, you compare this to, let's say, TI3 times, it was almost completely strict and conformed. Like, you really didn't reach out too much. Maybe in the group stages there were some picks out there, but when you came down to it, it was going to be Anti-Mage, Morphling, blah, 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 blah. It was very, very similar. And like you said, of course there's going to be those popular heroes that are still picked up more frequently than others. However, I do like you say, teams have their own strategies and their own favorite heroes and different ways to run it, and they really do it. For example, Pajkat on the Nature's Prophet farming in the lane. I mean, this guy is a genius with this hero. Let's just say he's a genius in general. How many heroes does he freaking play?
2, apparently.
Oh, just
Rana
2?
And Nature's Prophet.
Well, I believe it's a few more than that. But yeah, this guy is unbelievable, and I love seeing him just doing such a dominating performance. Yeah, who did predict Mal's? I mean, we look at the group stages here. Roxkiss was 9-0. 9 and bloody 0. And I'm acting like an Englishman for some reason, but Malsports was 8-1, so of course nothing to scoff at. But Roxkiss, undefeated in the group stages, ends up getting 2-1 in the winners round. Once they got knocked down, and then they end up losing 2-1 to Virtus Pro. So, group stages obviously not the determining factor. Once you get there, you've really got to keep up the performance, and these other teams just had a better drive, and they really showed it.
Yeah, I mean, those best of scenarios, I really appreciate the way that the tournament wound up playing out. I mean, I have said before, apparently I'm a broken record tonight. There aren't many excuses. You can't really say, oh, this team got through based off of this. You really got to show your all. And yeah, I mean, I really wanted to see Roxkiss do really well. I feel like they put on a good show and everything. But yeah, Virtus Pro just turned on. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know.
You could tell just watching Beyond the Summit stream. People where are they coming from? And there were still misplays. There were still overextensions, bad positioning, what have you. But overall, I feel like really entertaining games came from this. They slugged it out. It went to 5 games, and I think that Virtus Pro is a team that I've sort of really wanted to do well, but have just sort of underperformed. And now you get to see them sort of turn on, and how galvanizing it can be to have the opportunity to go to the main stage. I think is, definitely something that helped them get there.
Exactly, it's the extra push they needed, and I think Virtus Pro was also riding that high off. I mean, they started at the very bottom, 5-4 in the group stages, so they had to beat Team Coast, which they 2-0'd. And then they beat Roxkiss, like I said, the 9-0 team that was just dominating. So they had to be riding a pretty good high coming into that. And then everyone was predicting, Massports is looking really good. So I think they're just going to kind of wash over VP, and it's going to be pretty easy. First 2 games go to Virtus Pro. And not only does it go to Virtus Pro, well, one game, it was pretty close, pretty back and forth, actually. Really close, I would say. I believe that was the first game, but the next game was almost like a domination, and we're like, what's happening here? What happened to Malsports, the one we knew? And then all of a sudden, Blark came along, and...
Slink.
Oh, Slink.
Talking Blark. Who are you talking about?
Not Blardar. I'm talking about... Gosh, I'm so confused with these names. Slink. Sorry. I called him Blark. I don't even know who that is. That's like a Futurama character.
It's Blink Slark.
That's what
Instead
I want.
Of Slark Blink.
Okay, either or. It's very interchangeable. Excuse me. All right. God, you lost my train of thought completely. Anyways, they get a couple picks though. They go with something they're more comfortable with, a strategy. They maybe had a kind of a pocket strategy, if you will. They pick up this hero. They do fantastically, eventually getting that hero banned out. And but they came back from a 2-0 deficit and ended up toppling them for the 3-2 win, which had to be pretty crushing for VP. But like you said, they can probably take a step back and say, listen, we barely squeezed by into this playoff situation, and we're still going to TI4. We have the chance to compete for the $8.5 million. So, while, it'd be nice to be that guaranteed slot, obviously, just knowing that you're getting flown out there and you get that shot is still something amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy to see Smile. I feel like when we were talking about Crystal Maiden becoming big, the last time she sort of had her pop in the pro scene, I just remember like, oh man, Smile, like boots first, Crystal Maiden, crazy, and like he was really able to, I feel like, make some plays, and then was sort of that wasn't enough. I feel like for a lot of Virtus Pro, and now it really just feels like it's a whole unit. There are, I think, glaring flaws in their play, but at that same time, they're playing at a decently high level, a competitive level, and looking at that last slot, these games, like you were saying, they could be some of the more entertaining games of the tournament to see who's able to secure that last spot, because that's really, I feel like the tooth and nail fighting, scratching and clawing to try to make it, into that next year.
Yeah, now last year it was Rattlesnake versus Dignitas, I believe. Maybe not Dignitas. I'm sorry. TI3 was so long ago. But it was against someone. Rattlesnake won. That's, I guess, the reason I know. And, they came out on top, and they were not strong competitors. They did fine. They won a few games, but obviously they were nowhere near the top of the pack. But I honestly believe any of these 4 teams, which I'll name off now, it's the VP, the Virtus Pro. You've got the CIS game. You've got Team Liquid, of course. And SEA, you got MVP Phoenix. So of those 4, I already told you VP is now my new favorite to proceed into the tournament. Who's your thought right now?
VP MVP finals for the
last slot, but you're not sure between the two. MVP, is that? Why do you say MVP? Why do you think they're good enough?
I feel like they have just really, sort of similarly to Virtus Pro, they have just really come up. They're playing so much better. They've just really made progression in how they're playing, and I don't know. I also think that it's great that you could have VP MVP. It's just fun to say.
It rolls off the tongue. It's really is. It's very beautiful.
The tickets sell themselves.
The free tickets to the event. Yeah.
The free tickets. Yeah, so I don't know. They're just like my favorites. I think both for thinking with my head and my heart. I'm really Team Liquid. I like the club. I was
gonna say of the 4, I'm thinking Liquid's the weakest link right now. I feel like the other 3 have shown a lot more. Although in recent tournaments, like the American Dota League and such, Liquid's at least starting to look a little better form. But it might be a little too late. I mean, they've got about a month and some change to get prepared for this, which is, I know you've got to be like jumping out of your pants right now. If that's an expression, like you've got to be doing that right now, because you're actually going to that thing, which is amazing. You're pretty hyped, I have to assume. Has anyone reached out to you for beers yet, by the way? Like pre-ordered their drinks or anything?
I'll take reservations. I'll bring liquor to the event in a brown paper bag, and we'll just be
that's
ballers.
Sketchy as hell.
No, it'll totally safe. Totally safe. I don't want your kidneys, I promise. Just one. Black market.
But meet me at the top of the Space Needle. I got this stuff. Anyways, so I don't know. I think Liquid's got a way to go, but at the current moment, I would think that Liquid's towards the bottom. But honestly, I think it's more VP versus CIS at this point. That's kind of my thought. But all 4, like I was kind of saying before, I feel like have a decent chance, given enough, practice and strategy planning. I think any of them, and once one of those get in, unless it's Liquid, I think they honestly, it was a little rude maybe. Hey, they're North American, so we got to root for them. But I don't know. I think any of them could even finish middle of the pack in the group stages. I'm not going to go ahead and like take a jump off the cliff and say top, but I think they definitely could go at least middle of the pack.
No, yeah, that's what I wanted to sort of get across earlier. I feel like this, unlike Rattlesnake, who you're like, okay, they're in, but it didn't really matter. I feel like these teams are gonna, whoever comes out of this is gonna be able to put up a fight, and that's what's important. I have to ask you a question though. Based on these 2 qualifiers, I feel like the heroes that were, well, I guess you got to include Troll Warlord too. I was going to say, I loved seeing the Silencer. It went one way one game and another way another, and the roles changed as well for the hero. But speaking of role change, you also have the Mirana, who in the Chinese qualifiers is more likely to be a support than any sort of
Yep.
farming carry. And you know what? Let's just throw Troll in there because he's just great to see again. What are your thoughts on, I guess, these heroes in general? I mean, did you find seeing Mirana in a different way refreshing? Did you feel like, holy crap, Silencer stacking that curse? What's up? Or were you just like, LOL, let's rape towers with Troll ult? Like, did you have a favorite to see? What are your thoughts?
I like see. Well, I mean, it's not like Silencer is the most fun hero to watch, but he definitely is high impact hero. He's kind of almost like an Enigma in a way, where if you get whatever you're looking to do off perfectly timed, you could completely change the dynamic of the team fight and could win you the game. Getting that ultimate time off it's got to be perfect, but it's really cool to see not support, but that middle or safe lane Silencer. Because then the current favorite build, which it might have been Isama again. I don't know who started
Loda.
this one. Was it Loda? You know what? It might have been.
I'd say it was Loda.
But he's also a trendsetter. But going that Aghanim staff into Refresher is so amazing. Not only because that curse stacking up on people, getting tons of drain going on, but just silencing people for almost 10 seconds. I mean, unless they got that BKB, of course. It's something just incredible to see in a fight, and it really is just so hard to deal with and really annoying to deal with. The support one, I mean, yeah, his ultimate's still good, but when you get to see that really high farm, high level Silencer in action, he's only also pumping out high damage, not even going damage items. That's just what's so great about him, is he goes these utility kind of items and is still doing massive work in team fights.
Yeah, I really want him to feel better as a support.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he doesn't provide any sort of control is hard because this is a hero where you look at his kit and you go, wow, he doesn't have to build damage items. Like you're saying, if he participates in fights, even if a hero gets away and he gets the killing blow, he's able to get damage up from the int with the glaives, and he's able to do permanent damage to the enemy team. And I really like that about the hero, but it just never seems to function as well as you'd like it to in that support role. The thing that I really found impressive about the carry Silencer was really how poorly the game went for him, and it just didn't matter. I mean, once he was able to get that Aghanims, once he was able to refresh it, I mean, it's just so powerful because you force people into BKB.
Right.
Like, you have to get rid of the silence, and then guess what? Here's the next one. And, okay, after that, there is a potentially large window of time that you have to try to fight the enemy team while that ultimate's on cooldown. By the same token, if this is, a last pick Silencer, you're not thinking the whole time, let's get these 60-second ultimate cooldowns, let's fight 24/7, let's put on the pressure. Again, to that game, he was under pressure, was under duress, didn't have the easiest time, and they were still able to get enough space for him that he was able to really, stack the three curses of the Silent and really make it work. It was almost like scary to think this hero had such a hard time, but was so damning to the enemy team. He was able to do so much to them.
Yeah, that's the power of the hero. That's what I'm saying, and I agree. The support version, not so much as a threat, in that it did fail them in the end when NS got on that hero. But yeah, it was still great to see him, and I'm like I said, I'm glad to see it. It's definitely a powerful way to finish up your team. It's a great kind of last pick almost, like you're saying, because no one's banning Silencer right now. He's on the table. He's easy to get. It's almost like a Meepo pick. It's like, oh wait, what? I guess that'll happen. AA seems to be like first pick almost through tree at all the freaking time, so of course they're going to be going through. But yeah, I do like that Silencer pick. The Mirana support, it's kind of been happening in past. I mean, the roaming Mirana has been here and there. Obviously, the one role is her super popular position. Getting that Millionaire, like, it's a staple, apparently. If you don't get that, apparently you're like the worst Mirana in the world. But or so I've been told in pub game. But but yeah, I like the roaming one, honestly. It's assuming, of course, you can land those arrows, which is 95% of support Mirana is that. Of course, the ultimate's the other 5%. But still, it's so great to have her going around and ganking middle, ganking the other lanes with smokes, just being such a nuisance. You're always kind of cowering in fear, almost like the Pudge Hook situation where you're like, oh God, is it coming for me? What's going to happen here? And you play way more defensively than you want to because you know if you overextend and get hit by that arrow, you're dead. So it's pretty interesting to see that. And though Schwann didn't play in this, he's been playing a lot of support Mirana in other leagues right now, and I think it's going to be a thing at TI4.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I kind of don't. I get both sides of the argument because I know a lot of the commentators are like, I'm really not that impressed with the support Mirana. You really look at her the other way. I guess as a semi-carry, she does seem to be able to put out a decent amount of damage, not as much as other heroes, but enough to make an impact. But, I feel like her kit, you can almost say, like, oh, you don't have to go for carry items. She can do decent damage, and if you go sort of items that will help her do more damage, but aren't necessarily high damage dealing items, I'm thinking like the drums, even like a Lincoln's, to try to give yourself the damage or the regen. I feel like you can say, like, you can function a support role and get those and still be okay.
Yeah, Schwann always building that Force Staff, like, first on that hero, going for that position. I've seen Blink Miranas. I think it was mostly Dendi, but I've seen the Blink Mirana too. It's just Force Staff seems so strange. It kind of like solidifies the fact that it's a support Mirana because it's not a damage item. It's purely for your team to position because Leap will give you your own position. You can have that ability, but the Force Staff's just that extra extension of the arm for either yourself or someone else on your team. And I guess it does work. I mean, if you want to. I don't know. I feel like it's not quite as good as something like a Wind Ranger Force Staff where you get to shackle from a tree. It's like, okay, Force Staff, am I going farther away than to arrow back at the enemy or something? I mean, it doesn't seem like the most ideal item for that hero, but obviously that's just, the Force Staff, of course, is not only used for just yourself. That's why you build it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Schwann was going for the Force Staff a lot. I feel like that. I mean, the item makes sense. It's not like it makes sense for that hero. Yeah. Like you said, you're not really
Rod of Atos, Murata.
Yes.
That makes that arrow a lot easier to land, doesn't it?
You would think, but I'm sure people would still miss it. But yeah, I almost feel like they're more, I guess they aren't as hard support items, but items that really, I feel like, complement Mirana. I mean, I think one of the first times saw the Trilane Mirana, before she sort of blew up, was like someone Arcane Boots farming Mirana, who then just as soon as she got the boots was just like all over the place, all over the map. So I feel like when you sort of have her in a role where she is about being able to supply the map presence, be able to keep up the threat of the arrows and the Starstorm, like, I get that. I don't know if I think I would probably lean more towards that, core Mirana if I were to be in the captain's chair. But
right.
That's just me.
But it's pretty interesting still. And I'm getting flashbacks to Fluff and stuff support Mirana.
Except I think Chuan hits his arrows. Shots fired.
Ooh.
Arrows fired.
And you can't blame the latency because it was at the International, so lag, not an issue. That's
He was taking the lag into consideration.
He's so used to it that it was throwing him off when he's like, oh, this is going to go exactly where I want it to go. That's crazy. I can't imagine that happening.
It was mine.
But yeah, that's I was just getting those flashbacks from Fluff and stuff. We were so excited. We're like, oh, Fluff's got this. And then, like, the game went so horribly for them. It was like, ooh, not what we wanted. But what are you going to do?
Oh, I guess last but not least, Fada. What's up? Killing it. The Troll Warlord. I think he went undefeated on Troll during the course of the tournament. I just made that stat up. I'm pretty sure it's true. I want to say he did.
I'm not here to prove you wrong.
Well, we don't have an official Dodo on-demand fact checker yet, but maybe one day. I mean, what did you just think about seeing him? I mean, I felt like this is my long-lost buddy. Of course, I feel like these heroes that sort of get really popular. You get sick of him after a while. But I was just like, oh man, this guy, what's up? I really enjoyed seeing him played, and not only played, but played well.
Yeah, no, I mean he was getting really popular for a little bit of time. It was that period. I can't remember exactly what. Maybe there was a change to him or something. That maybe his ultimate got buffed, or who really knows? But
Probably.
I mean, it's been buffed multiple times. Actually, Troll Warlord 4-0. There you go.
Statsman, BDLM.
Statsman beat, well, theoretical Statsman. I mean, you didn't actually know it ahead of time. But yeah, he was picked up here. Yeah, he was used against Mouse in that final, and he ended up going the Mech Vladimir BKB build, which is not what you think of when you think of like an attack hero such as that. But I mean, you got to think of it in other terms. I believe we were trying to say how Joe was trying to explain to us with PA how, you can go mech and Vlads and stuff because you'll get the damage from your abilities. You don't need to build damage. Troll's kind of in a similar fashion. You get the bashes and you get the attack speed from your abilities, the whirling axes and such. So, yes, building extra damage items, of course, aids that, but it's not quite necessary. And they had the Pajkat to do quite a bit of work that game on the Blark or the Slink or whatever the heck you want to call them these days. So yeah, I loved it. I loved it with the Slark on the team too. Obviously, if you get another carry who really benefits from attack speed, which I mean most of them do, let's be honest, but one that drains stats every attack, let's just say theoretically, with AA buff, things like this, I feel like is a really strong play and really worked out well for them in that game.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think you said it all right there. I was happy to see him, and it's nice to see a sort of mouse specific strategy. That's definitely something that I personally know, just like going out and watching teams when I know Go Black Stream Protector and maybe now Mouse's Troll Warlord, that's like gets me excited for the game. How is this draft going to turn out? Do teams feel like they're forced into certain bans? I think that sort of thing just really adds the interest in the complexity of the game.
Now, and this is, remind you, they were down 0-2, and they went with this strategy, meaning they were that confident. I mean, if you're down 2-0 in one more game, you're not going to be in the qualifiers guaranteed. You're not going to pick a shot like, you know what, screw it. Let's just go for it. You've got to be like, this is going to work. We really have thought this through, and we love how this plays out. And it might have helped that they were against a Queen of Pain who has less than great win percentages these days. Nothing against God, just saying. But yeah, I don't know. I loved it. What do you think of Blink Slark, by the way? Do you like that over Shadowblade?
Yes.
Every time or just situationally?
I think situationally. Because Shadowblade, turn invisible, you regen.
Yay, health.
Damage, attack speed, who doesn't love it? That hero is capable of doing, again, so much damage just through his kit. I think really being able to make sure that you're in the right position, that you're not able to sort of, leap and hope to hit somebody at the end of it to hold them there. You get yourself into the position for the leash. I feel like that's a lot of what the hero is able to offer, and then the survivability, the regen, he's able to do it through Shadow Dance, because that can't really be countered now. I think you can say that that's enough that you can warrant getting an item like Blink Dagger, and he's a hero that's already so mobile. If you're able to just sort of, I feel like, take that to the next level, completely exacerbate, is that the right word? That aspect of the hero, I just feel like that's a strong way to go with it. I feel like a lot of itemization is either making up for heroes' weaknesses or just pushing their strength to that next level, and I feel like that's what Blink Dagger is for.
Well, it's all about the pounce. It really is. If you can land that pounce, you'll probably have enough damage output on top of, like you said, using the Shadow Dance to ensure you have enough time to do what you're going to do and then escape. Obviously everyone can see why Shadow Blade is also very handy, of course, because like you said, it allows your ultimate passive to proc while you're invisible. But the Blink, Blink in general, this meta, as we know, ever since that buff, is just, everyone loves it. Every hero is just like, screw it. I don't even think this hero makes sense with the Blink, but I'm going Drow Blink, and let's just do it. Sniper Blink. I don't care. I want that mobility, and it doesn't cost me mana to use. So why the heck wouldn't I do it? Broodmother Blink, the next thing that's going to probably happen, even though it makes literally no sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a strong showing. You're right. It's situational. You're not going to always get the Blink over the Shadow Blade, but in a lot of cases, and it was shown in this game, it can make the difference between getting the kill and not.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're good to move on here, because I think since the end of the qualifiers, there's really, it's like the post-international shakeup before the internationals happened, or the shuffle, if you will. Just to sort of get into some of the general team news that's sort of been happening of late. Speaking of Roxkiss, they are dropped by their sponsor. Whoops. The team is going to continue to play together for some of the other tournaments that they're in. They're going to sort of finish up their run. Not really sure if we're going to see more of them together. I think you sort of mentioned it earlier. It's kind of shocking. I mean, this team, I feel like, has been a leader in CIS Dota. They've always put on a good show. I feel like they've always finished pretty reasonably well. Go Black invented Tramp Protector. Really sort of revered for being a master drafter. I feel like some of the drafts during the EU qualifiers, like, there were some times where he sort of left the late game he left it open to the enemy team to take the game there, or, maybe not flawless execution, but I feel like the team really played well, 9-0, and they get dropped.
Yeah.
Really sad. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think it is sad, and this is already the beginning of the famous summer shuffle that we were talking about that usually begins after the International. It has already begun right after a qualifier occurring, of course. But, yeah, I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean these players are going to split up. Like you said, they're playing together. Maybe they're going to regroup. Maybe they'll replace one or two, or someone will retire, or who knows what's going to happen. And whenever one of these players retire, they always come back like 3 months later and try to play again. But it's just it's unfortunate that that's the way it came for them. But I definitely don't see it as the end of their careers as players. I think they're going to continue on, and maybe they'll find another sponsor. That's happened multiple times, and so hopefully they can stick together, practice up, and just improve.
Yeah, it's I guess you see both sides of the story. I mean, if you have a team that is consistently doing good, they don't, maybe excel to that great or that excellent. They're not taking first place in tournaments regularly, or top two. I guess you can understand from a sponsor standpoint, like, well, maybe we need to look for a team that we think can sort of pop in, but at the same time, I feel like when I know the name Roxkiss because of these 5 players, and because they were able to play so consistently and finish consistently. So, it's unfortunate that they get dropped, and who knows when it'll probably, I feel like, be until late summer, fall, before maybe they're able to find a sponsor, or maybe a sponsor that we haven't heard of is going to come up and try to finance them. That would be cool too. But I feel like they certainly have. It's not like they were having a rough time and they got dropped, and so the team might fall apart. I feel like you're able to play strong, finish strong. There really isn't a reason to break up. Maybe, like you said, you look to swap in a player or two, but I would really like to continue to see them all play.
Absolutely.
Put on a good show.
Yoel's on my team, man. He needs to continue on in some fashion here. So
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team, the names on the roster. I feel like most of them summon up images of fantastic play. Yo, Witch Doctor, come on, what's up? I mean, he was playing him before he was a thing. If that makes any sense. I feel like I can remember it in my head. Witch Doctor Yol against Io +1 didn't matter. It was hilarious. It was great. It was amazing.
the bounces were real. Yes.
The bounces were real. Yes. So hopefully we get to see them again soon. We're now seeing double with Na'Vi because the yellow and black, it's everywhere now, including North America.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah, how has that not been there? Maybe they just realized it's a terrible song and that's why they don't use
they're
it.
like, no thanks. But yeah, American roster, man. And who was it again?
North American Rejects.
No longer rejected. That's right. They found a home for now.
Yeah,
Till the shuffle.
Brax, Fogged, Korok, Snake King, and 1437 now officially under the Na'Vi brand. That's pretty cool.
Isn't it cool how we were rooting for Na'Vi and secretly all along we just knew it was going to be an American team? See?
Look, NA is half of the team name, Na'Vi. They got adopted by the United States during the last international, so it's a natural progression.
It's going to be weird, though, in the international, because now they have two teams in the international. It's almost like LGD International versus LGD China or something along those kind of lines. But either way, the whole stadium is going to be rooting for Na'Vi either way. So you'll just be hearing it no matter what side you're on. It'll be a pleasure. You'll probably hear a lot of USA cheering as well, but that just happens. What are you going to do?
IG will be playing, and stupid Americans will be chanting USA.
Of course.
It'll be like
IG
versus DK, USA, USA.
We want to watch something else.
Doesn't matter. Just yay Merca. And then I guess last and certainly not least of the things to mention, EG.
Shed a tear.
I have to say though, I'm sad. I could be sadder. Put it that way. Mason replaces Fear for the international, at least up until the
indefinite, yeah.
Fear having to deal with a wrist injury, and it's really unfortunate because I feel like if you do pay attention to the professional scene, if you watch free to play, it's hard, I feel like, not to be pro Fear, and now he has this opportunity to be on a team that really has the opportunity to take it super far into the international, and he's not going to be able to play.
Right.
That's got to be heartbreaking.
And not only that, and actually I linked an article on our page, so you can check it out. But basically, yeah, he's put all this work and time and effort in, and biggest prize pool by so much. And not only that, he's on a team that is like really good, like going super strong, has been winning a lot of games, a lot of important matchups. I honestly feel like the EG has a really good chance this year to place high, really high. And even if you don't get first, let's say, if you get like third, I believe you're still going to walk away like your team gets $1 million for like third place. So I mean, like, it's insane how much money all these teams that are going to do well are going to, even the ones that don't do well. I mean, it's a lot of money going around. And like I said, it's just, I'm sure he's so, down about it. But in the same way, you're right. Mason has been an amazing stand-in, and he's a great guy, and he's going to do a good job for them as well. It's just, you get kicked in the feels because you really have been, we've all been Fear lovers, especially after watching that documentary, and you want him to get in there and kick some ass, but be watching the sidelines. I was telling BDLM earlier that I hope in some way they, like, if they win a lot of money, they'll like give him a little slice of it for the help that he's gotten them that far. But yeah, who knows how it's actually going to go down.
I mean, yeah, of course, who wants to share money? But you figure, it wasn't too long ago that we were all like, sad boys, who are these guys? Come out of nowhere. They're playing next level. They have crazy strats. Making Naga Siren mid awesome with the help of Arteezy. This squad really did, I feel like, almost come out of nowhere with the help of Fear, of course, and they got a direct invitation on the back of some of the games he played. And like I said, I could be sadder because I really like Mason. I feel like he played when he's played with them at a really competitive level, and it doesn't feel like they're skipping too much of a beat to include him on the roster. But again, team manager Monolith, reading a quote from him, just calling Fear Captain America, and I feel like that's just like, that is sad that you have to like have somebody that clearly everybody in American Dota around the world respect, who has to sort of sit this out. I feel like I would be cool if Fear, if his wrist injury does take him out of the game for, you feel like you could very easily see him
coach.
In the manager role, coach. And I feel like that's not, that I feel like plays to his strength. It's not like he's just a guy who's good at the game, so he's going to talk about the game and tell people how to play the game. Again, looking to the free-to-play document. Oh, you got me pronouncing it weird. Documentary.
I said documentary, didn't I?
You did, and you messed me up. You really sort of saw him as a leader, as a figure who would support the people around him and help galvanize them to do great things. And you know what? If that's the role that he winds up taking in the team, and Mason comes on full time, I would be stoked at that. To be honest, I get the butts of both worlds. You get Fear and Mason. It's not the world.
And the good news for Fear, he's still on the team, obviously, so he gets all the Monster Energy drinks he wants. Best news ever, am I right? Dude, I wish I had one of those Monster fridges in my house here, man. I would be so happy, and probably dead of a heart attack, but I would be happy. That's for sure.
You would be dead.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I believe Fear is actually supposed to be releasing just some more information about his decision to sort of sit it out. It was like, his decision to sit out. He wasn't like forced into or anything by the team from the looks of it. So, it's sad. It's a little unfortunate. Maybe a low note to end on. This is like,
well, we got one little more note to go into here. The patch.
Oh, we do. No, let's not talk about that. It's just permanent changes to the game that are going to affect the way heroes are picked and played.
And let's definitely not go through all of them because we've already been going for about an hour and 10. So I think we should hit the highlights here. And
let's read them all.
God, another 4-hour episode, please.
No, it'll be great. I believe, Jay. Let's do it. 6.81b. You ready?
Yes, go quick.
Compendium Daily Hero Challenge is in there. That's awesome. Yes. Alternative voice vote. If you love me, you'll pick Crystal Maiden because wow.
And IO.
Model update vote, that's pretty cool, and I'm going to skip the rest. I think that the compendium stuff, a lot of fun in there. The votes, the sort of group competition, neat. All right. Ancient Apparition, Icy Vortex, slow decreased by 3% at the early levels, still winds up being the same at level 4. Okay.
Good.
Reasonable. I feel like, let's just say this first. This is probably the most important thing. I'll just list off all the heroes that got changes because it wasn't a full and extensive list. Ancient Apparition, Batrider, Bounty Hunter, Doom, Drow Ranger, Shaker, Elder Titan, Enigma, Invoker, Juggernaut, etc. I'm not going to list them all back to back, but really a lot of prevalent heroes and then a lot of just sort of like, I guess,
well, you already said the AA one was pretty decent. The Batrider, probably the biggest one, maybe. It was definitely one of the biggest. The Sticky Napalm bonus damage now halved against non-hero units. What that means, essentially, Jungle Batrider is a lot more of a challenge because you're only doing half of that bonus damage when you're stacking up those creeps. So, yeah, he's still going to be the same in the lane, essentially. But, yeah, as far as stacking creeps, it's going to take a little more effort than it did in the past. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think that that's totally reasonable. I don't know that you should be able to have a hero that can sort of very safely and easily farm nothing and be hard to threaten because, at the end of the day, if you try to gank him, he just flies over terrain, and it's not a big deal. So I'm totally okay with the hero having to play in the lane, maybe to his detriment, if he is really a high impact mid game hero, a hero that can completely change the course of games and really provide the crazy initiation that he always can.
Hmm.
Bounty Hunter buff, Shadow Walk, cool. All right, he's invisible 5 seconds longer at all ranks. Apparently, Ice Frog wants Bounty Hunter to be picked up. Doom Devour mana costs. It's now $60 ranks. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just making it so when he gets later in the game, it's not even cheaper. I mean, Devour is already such a great ability that they want him to have to manage his mana just a bit better. So, yeah, I think that's a reasonable nerf there.
What do you think about the Drow Ranger buff? Gust knockback duration increase from 0.5 to scaling from 0.6, so just flat out better, up to 0.9.
It's actually really interesting because it's almost a second CC in a way. Like that knockback is during that time you can't do anything. Your hero's just getting kind of like the shockwave coming out from the invoker. So it's actually really cool to give Drow. Besides the slow, now she has this almost second long gust knockback, which is going to help her. And especially if the hero is kind of close to you, it also pushes them back a gazillion miles. So I like this change a lot. I mean, it's just going to help her in her quest to stay max range from everyone and do her tons of auto attack damage in a short duration, especially with that mom build. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Stacy's mom build?
She's got it going on.
Sorry, I had to. Let's group a couple of these together because I feel like to just sort of go back on what I was saying earlier, there were a lot of changes to heroes that are really popular and then changes to heroes that aren't so much. You look at Earthshaker, who had his turn rate improved by 0.3, an increase of 50% from 0.6 to 0.9. And then the Echo Slam initial damage, the AoE component to it increased to 555 at all ranks. You had Juggernaut, whose base attack time was improved. The Omni Slash damage per slash was more normalized. Leshrax's Pulse Nova damage was increased. Lena's Light Strike Array Stun now actually scales as you level her up. And, I mean, do you have any other favorites in here of the sort of like less conventional heroes or heroes we don't really see?
I like the Ogre Magi buff it got. Multicast, passive mana cost penalty on Fire Blast reduced by 10 mana at the first rank, down 50 mana at the last rank. And the Bloodlust now cast on Magic Immune allies. So pretty nice buffs for him. Previously when you level multicast, your Fire Blast costed more mana, but now it's not nearly as significant, and hopefully he won't have as many issues, being obviously that support role is generally what he's used for, not getting a lot of items for that mana pool, so that's really helpful. Then the Bloodlust on Magic Immune, obviously really nice. Get that BKB or Lifesteal or whoever you want to cast it on. You have no fear. You get to cast it no matter what, and it's going to help out your team a lot.
Yeah, I mean, BK Bear can now be Bloodlust.
Where's your Blink Bear game? You've yet to do it, and everyone's demanding it, and we're all disappointed so far. Just saying.
People are. Is that my challenge?
It's been demanded by multiple people, actually.
Is it just you?
No, I've heard Ollie is one. I'm just saying, Ollie is one. So there's at least one, and me. That makes two. So you know what? That is people. You know what? Everyone in the chat right now say BDLM. You should do Blink Bear, and then that's at least like 7. So there you go. Enough said there.
That's going to be a Dota Theater 3000 right there. Blink
oh
Bear.
Gosh, that episode will have to be. We'll make fun of ourselves a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. The one that I didn't mention that I really like. I'm gonna go ahead and say 2. The Undying Intelligence growth being increased from 2 to 2.5. Small buff, but I think one that I really appreciate because I really want to see this hero more. I'm sad that the changes that were made to him really haven't increased his presence all that dramatically. Mm-hmm. And then the Zeus buff to the lightning bolts really pushing the utility of the new lightning bolt with the duration of the true sight being increased from 3 to 4.5 seconds, so another big increase, and the search area AoE being increased from 250 to 325. I think those are all like really those 2 buffs right there I think are pretty sizable, and the fact that you have people messing around with Zeus as it is, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's enough to maybe make him a little bit more viable?
Well, it almost gives enough time for an extra auto attack from a lot of heroes, to that extra second and a half to like de-ward within that one lightning bolt frame. So yeah, I mean, it's not enough to like change him completely, but he's gotten buffed over time. You've noticed the ultimate cooldown was reduced a lot. Now he's got this amazing ability to get true vision on random parts of the ground. It could possibly push for a Zeus support. Honestly, this is kind of allowing him to be more versatile, not only mid Zeus. It's not the only thing you can do now. You have the ability to run him maybe off lane or support, or I'm not going to say roaming. That doesn't sound too practical, but he's got different possibilities now. The Tusk got buffed too, by the way, more so. The Snowball cooldown reduction and Walrus Punch cooldown reduction. So they're trying to really push him to get into the game as well.
Yeah, and I think going to the changes of sort of trying to bring down some heroes and even some items. I mean, Mjolnir, the only item to get any change to it this patch, the recipe cost increased from 600 to 900. Static charge duration decreased from 20 to 15. I feel like that's perfectly fine, especially when you consider that you started seeing it on heroes like Axe or, basically, I guess, non-auto attackers really just looking to what, I'll just apply static shield to myself. No big deal, guys. I guess it's not terrible, but it does just, I sort of feel awkward that you have this attack speed item on a tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Axe needs it to farm better, right? So it is interesting, and it's not going to, stop Maranas from getting it or anything. It's not going to stop those heroes who like it. They're just going to have to obviously invest that little bit extra money. And those heroes generally aren't as concerned about the static charge as they are about the proc and everything else involved with it. So the Wind Ranger buff, I did mention earlier, but just saying, now the Focus Fire mana cost, instead of 150 all ranks, is now 75 at the first and only goes up to 125 at the last. So very affordable, makes it that much more tempting to get right at 6 even. Dare I say.
Not to love.
Dare I say.
Yeah, that's neat. Again, it's like when Zeus first got buffed, there was a lot of streaming that Dendy did playing the Zeus with a lot of just back-to-back queuing of Zeus. So I'm curious to see, with some of the back-to-back queuing of the Wind Ranger that I've been seeing, if some of these little buffs are eventually going to add up to her being picked up more for the mid role or for a more core position. But Leech Seed damage per pulse decreased from 25 at the first rank down to 15, winding up still being 60 at the last rank. Looking at some of the other big nerfs to come in, Marana had a reduction to the stun and the damage at the minimum.
Range,
so
yeah,
minimum range damage and stun decrease. I feel like that is pretty fine. I don't think it really matters that much. You don't really see that many point blank arrows.
I think the damage is not as important, but I think the stun duration actually is, because that stun duration went from 0.5, which used to be a minimum, to 0.01, which is literally nothing. You can't even count that. All it is just an interruption at that point. And the damage will even be lower. So doing a short range arrow is essentially not helping you much at all, unless you need to interrupt a TP or something. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's always been preferred to be used at a farther range, and especially after they made the buff to it that it does more damage the farther it goes. It's been the preferred method, but still, I think it is definitely an important thing to note, and it's a good change. You're continuing the thought that you should be rewarded for the long arrows, not so much for the short ones.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I feel like in line with all of the nerfs to the big top tier heroes, the Marana, the Treant Protector, even the Bat Rider, and sort of nerfing his early game as far as the jungle is concerned, and also finding an early game nerf, and the Howl duration being decreased, but the damage being decreased from 20 at rank 1 down to 14, still winding up being 50 at the last rank. Are you scared of Lycan anymore?
Yeah, he's still going to do what he does. The 2-second thing is, I mean, both of these really nice changes. I do like how they're targeting a lot of early game problems that have been occurring. But as you said, the Howl bonus damage still late game will do the 50 that it's done previously. So really just the 2-second duration is the major thing. I mean, it's going to hurt level 1 Roches. It's going to hurt pushing those early towers, but not to the point where you can't use him for that anymore. I don't think this change is going to make him, take him out of the banning pool per se, but I do think it's going to help against him, and it maybe will make teams a little less scared to play against him.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I think that this is a good way to try to rein these heroes in. I mean, Mirana, I feel like the minimum thing doesn't matter. That I feel like is the one nerf to the big heroes that I feel like is almost non-existent. I guess the other nerf definitely worth mentioning is the Invoker one to both Quaswex and the Exort builds. Forged Spirits, 33% magic resistance removed. Cold Snap damage reworked from the initial and secondary proc damage of 60 and 30 to 7 times the Quas level per proc. And Deafening Blast Disarm now being dispelled when magic immunity is applied even. I feel like pretty sizable nerfs all around.
Yeah, the Cold Snap one is huge. Enormous. I mean, it used to, like it said, 60 at the initial hit, then 30 for every additional. Now 7 times Quas. So let's say you're level 1 Cold Snap. Well, you get, so you have 1 level of Quas. That's 7 damage per proc. So instead of doing 90 in 2 hits, you do 14 damage in 2 hits. That's quite an enormous amount. At the very last rank, I believe we said, and God, I hope our math is right, that you can get seven levels of each instance. If that's correct, that's 49. I could just Google it in like 2 seconds, but I'd rather just take the chance. It's a lot more fun. YOLO swag. Oh God, not that phrase. But yeah, that would be 49 damage per proc. So it doing 100 damage. It only basically at its last highest rank is it going to out damage the initial way it worked, which is pretty unfortunate for Quaswex players. Of course, the EMP, the tornado, all that still in fine fighting condition, but Cold Snap being obviously the primary way to lock down and do damage to heroes, that's a great way to nerf that build.
I mean, I think the Quas Exort, you're not going to be able to. You're pretty much going the Exort. I feel like your Sunstrike is your laning phase, and you're not going to be able to sort of Forge Spirit, Cold Snap, and sort of chain somebody out in the mid lane because of the damage coming out from the Cold Snap and just the damage coming out from you in the Forge Spirit. I feel like this really is leaving you to be like, okay, you're either going to go team fight and safety in the middle lane, or you're going to have to go for the arsenal, being able to throw out lightning strikes, not lightning strikes, but laying out artillery fire across the map, and really making that decision. So
all I'm saying is Death Prophet a lot better against this Exort build. Just saying, throwing out those waves at the Forge Spirits can do some work.
Zeus, chain lightning, arc lightning,
roaming Zeus coming in there, throwing in a little arc lightning, getting that kill, no problem. Yeah,
no big deal.
Maybe not.
But yeah, I mean, let us know, guys, if you have any changes you thought were particularly interesting that we didn't mention. And of course, please go out there, watch the Dota Theater 3000s. Let us know what you think. Have your friends watch them, your mothers, your fathers, children, your dogs, your cats. We're not.
Okay.
It doesn't just have to be your humans. Yeah, tell us what you think. Also, if they get you in the mood, submit some of your own games, and we would love to do episodes of them. Of course, all jesting and good fun. And I'll get my Blink Bear game in there.
Gotta get that in there.
We have to now. We just have to. But do you have any other closing thoughts, my friend?
No, man. I'm just glad we're back on track and looking forward to see what's in store for the future here.
Absolutely. Happy 90th episode, my friends. And like we mentioned earlier, we definitely have things in the works to make the show and the brand just bigger and better, and really want to try to get more out to you guys. So until next time, go out there, watch some Dota, play some Dota, enjoy. See you later.